Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. We are gathered here to celebrate the life of Moira Donovan. Oh,
Alex is getting Parker set up with WhatsApp, so Parker could be here. Electronically.
well, we're here in a Quaker setting today. Mom originally didn't want a celebration of life. But as we began to approach the end, we talked more. She realized how grateful she was for the community she had and every one of you who helped support her throughout her entire life. We started to explore this idea of a Quaker tradition, coming to a celebration of life, and she thought it would be a great celebration for her. Mom found Quakerism sometime in her the last 20 years. I don't know exactly how she found it, but what was special to her was the legacy of education that it brought. As many of you know, Alex and I went to private schools and to mostly Quaker schools. We went to the school in Rose Valley, which is an independent school rooted in some Quaker traditions. I went to Media Providence Friends School, and then Alex and I went to Friends Central School. She found the traditions of Quakerism, and specifically the tenets of the 6 spices, particularly resounded within her. The spices are simplicity, peace, integrity, community, equality, and stewardship. That is 6. At some point, I believe they added the last S of stewardship, so I always get spice and spices confused in my head. But Quakers are guided by these principles to speak in this tradition, to come into a meeting room such as this and share whatever is on their minds. The proper guidance, at least is what I was taught, was to listen to your own voice, and if you're and if you feel moved to speak, if the light within you wants to come out, you stand and you share your message. And then you let a period of time of quiet settle upon everyone. People reflect. Sometimes that quiet could be 15 seconds. Sometimes it is a couple dozen minutes. Sometimes Quakers sit in full meetings where nothing is said, and it's called silent ministry. And going to meeting for worships weekly, we would sometimes sit in fully silent meetings. One of the first times I stood in meeting for worship was my sophomore year, when our youngest brother Parker was born. I was so scared to stand up in front of everyone and share the message of something like announcing how Parker was born in our little home of Deal Island, where she found so much peace and solace as well. I asked the community gathered here today, if you feel moved to speak, feel free to stand and share a message, something similar to mine, or whatever you feel in your little light needs to be shared amongst the community. These can be joys, sorrows, gratitudes of how you wish to remember Moira and how you wish to remember each other. I ended up just trying to buy time so we could have my brother Alex and Parker join us. But I think I went through my entire introduction.
Maybe we can do some silence
in the meantime. So perhaps while we wait for them to join us, we just settle into some silence, and hopefully they'll be with us soon. Oh, two other things. At the end of the meeting, the friends here along the facing bench will turn to each other and shake hands. This will end our practice, and we can move into the next room for some refreshments, staying here, wherever. And a final note that a few people will be joining us digitally over the laptop. We're recording the meeting for posterity's sake. If you have any concerns about the recording, please let me know. Thank you, guys.
Well, I would just like to say, I'm Moira's sister Ann, for everybody that supported her and helped her through this very difficult time. Thank you very much. It was greatly appreciated by all of us. I can't really talk a whole lot, so, but it'd be as good as Sam was there.
As my sister-in-law, I think back, what is something that really impressed me the most? And it would be, she was sacrificial. She would never put herself first, ever. If my wife and I, Mary, flew in from Phoenix on one of those horrible flights, and we get in at midnight in Philadelphia, and we'd go over there, and she was already making me something to eat. I was hungry. Would just let us, the house was open to us, and she was so good to us over the years, always. And her whole demeanor, serving, being a servant, she really was, and would never make you feel that you were imposing. So obviously we all miss her, and I come into the house at certain times, let's say in the evening, and it's like, Moira had a special place. She would sit in front of this jumbo TV. Jumbo. I didn't know they even made them that size. And she'd be putting on her different programs. She loved to cook. Man, could she cook. And really well. And so we'd be watching, I'd sit down and we'd be watching all these cooking shows with everybody, other people I didn't even know, the pasta queen. So we had a good time. And so I just come in sometimes and it's like, I love it. Seats empty and I didn't want it to be.
Thank you. Oh, thanks. Thank you.
A pocket full of them.
Oh, good.
I got a lot.
Okay.
You pretty much want on the way around.
Speaking of joy, I didn't know Moira very well, but I'm feeling a bit dizzy. But because I knew her two boys, my son, and they went to Friends Central together, hence the connection. One moment that stands out in my head was when we went to Sam's graduation, I believe it was, and Moira walked across the field, and she was sort of bathed in light. She was really in a cheerful mood. And as she got closer and closer, there was a little thing in her hand, and it was Quaker. And that was the first time that I knew that there was a little, brother involved or whatever. And she was so naturally just looking after me and bouncing on, in her arms. And it was just such a joy because one boy was leaving and grown up, and this other one had come into our lives. And I started a bit emotional because Bruno's sister, my stepdaughter, my husband's daughter, just had a baby a day ago. So that whole thing has come full circle, and I now recognise that joy, that pride that she felt in one son, graduating, and another one in her arms. So I just wanted to share that moment, following up on your happy little memories. That's the best I can.
Makes me think again of Moira, again with another baby in her hand. So I'm not a good speaker, so bear with me. But Moira and I met when Alex was 8 months old. And I can just picture her holding him in his little bare feet. And Sam and Donna, my son, went to preschool together. And we became fast friends as they dug in her backyard all the time. They were always digging something and riding on some kind of machine. And so, and Moira, she was just such a good person. She had so much patience. And I think she had such a funny spirit too. I remember her saying to me when she was coming back from Alex, she said, "Hey Lisa, I'm on my way back, and it's just me and Alex and Sam and Mary and a bird on the sitting at one branch." And I could just picture it in this little Toyota truck when she got home, and I'm like, he did that all the way in that little truck. So
Picture of the bird beings.
she was just such a good friend. We were very good friends. Our kids were younger, and unfortunately we did drift apart as our kids grew up. And I have a lot of very, very fond memories.
My name's Kevin. Katrina and Alex were two boys together, same age. And Moira restoring her own, then to bring home to the children was just a motivation for me. I married a carpenter's daughter. She would take control of building the project. But get her together with Moira. Yeah, sure. Have us over for dinner on the week. I think she'd be like, I want to put in a brick patio. All right, I get a wheelbarrow, I'll strong my brick. So here it is, Mara and my wife Lisa, and my back, providing some of the muscle, but they had all the intelligence and the vision. You know, and it wasn't just an ordinary brick patio. It, was, the proper materials, red pavers, and she's like, oh, I kind of like to do the soldier course, all winding around. Hey, no problem, just tell me where to dump the base material and sling the rock, sling the brick in, and sure enough, I think you just had, surgery. I think you said on one of them air pillows, talk about motivation. On their hands and knees, Mara and Lisa, and me dealing the brick pipeline, just making it right and making it proper. And Mara was, remember, she had that energy that, she would finish, she would work 24 hours. She said, didn't you just work 24 hours? Yeah, I can't sleep. Let's go lay some brick, She really had style and really appreciated the architecture. And it was good. It was fun. It's fun to be there.
I have so many stories. Michael started you was the call person for Sam when Alex was supposed to come. But got the call too late. Alex was on Sam and Alex, I was telling Sam, I don't believe too many people remember the first time. But Sam and his mom were standing. I lived 3-4 doors down. I know a lot of people. Lots of things. Sam and Mark were watching the tree come down. I walked down the street with my daughter Kylie, who was, I guess, a year younger than Sam. And they all grew up together. Sam, Kylie, and Al, 3 of them, I think, drove the barbecue off the front steps. Lots of memories, which turned into play dates on Thursday, which moved to Monday, which was code for mom drink wine, let gets right. Because that's where. What else? You guys turned into all great kids. Some of you are around here. I got really sick in the hospital. Had a little kid, came home. Mara, actually Connie, I didn't even know Connie. Connie was fabulous, came home, Connie said, I'll clean your house for you. But Mara had everybody in the neighborhood lined up, like, who's gonna watch my daughter? He was gonna get down. Just so many memories. When the kids were little, so they got big. And Mark was good. Alex needs someplace to live. Next thing I knew, Alex is living upstairs. But you guys were our family. So many memories. Do you have your list? You may get enough for you out. Love you guys.
I'm fine. What time?
That's the time.
That was Moira's friend. She was my friend. We lived directly across the street from Moira. And so she was there as long as I was, well, actually, her mom's here first. When we first moved in, but the last 36 years that I've been there, I don't remember the time without Moira being there. The ones that just piggybacking on what some other people said about her strength. I'll never forget the day that I couldn't find my husband. So I was crawling around, You know, I didn't know where he was, so I opened the front door and he was sitting on the front stoop and he had his elbow, his hand on his chin, and he's looking, and all he said was, "She is my hero." Child watching. Keep watching them, so you're never going to see him. The other being Alex's arrival, when I remember getting up out of bed, as did the 4 neighbors after me. Looked out the window, and all I'm saying is, "Laura's having a baby." Never did I think to go and ask if she needed help. The greatest gift she gave me was when she had Parker, and he loves this story. He often says, "Tell me this stalking story." And so it was the 4th of July, and it was the first time she had taken Parker out of the house. She was standing up front, holding him. I went outside to see the parade come by. And so I walked over, and it was immediate. Like, I wanted them, and I knew they needed a sitter. And I pretty much stalked her. And when she said I didn't watch it, that's how it would go. And so I'm a mom, and when you have to leave your child for the day in someone's hands, it's a big deal. And the fact that she trusted me and allowed me to love her son was the greatest gift she ever gave to me and my family. All of us, Parker and I have remained extremely close. And so this morning we were talking, very disappointed not to be here. And so we talked the last couple of days and again this morning about what he would like to say if he was here. And I guess so we went over a couple of different things, and I'm going to read to you what he chose. So from Parker's heart, your proxy. A life well lived. He said it reminded him of his mom. A life well lived is a precious gift of hope and strength and grace. From someone who has made our world brighter, a better place. It's filled with moments, sweet and sad, with smiles and sometimes tears, with friendships formed and good times shared and laughter through the years. A life well lived is a legacy of joy and pride and pleasure, a living, lasting memory. Our grateful heart to Trish. I love you.
The first one, notes. I'm Diana, Laura's friend. We met when we were teenagers, and when you become friends with someone at that age, you don't know who your friends in 10 years, much less a lifetime. So you become family at some point, and all are family. Bonds aren't explainable, but they're there. Maura and I may not have always seen each other with the frequency we may have wanted. But when we did, it was like only a few days had passed since the last time we saw each other. We loved hearing about each other's families and lives. And I feel like we know all of her nieces and nephews from hearing about you for so many years. During these last few years, we wanted to be more about. I watched our amazing care team, her sister Mary, her brother-in-law Brian, but especially Alex, who had the ability to have her calm and hopeful at the same time. It was phenomenal as they searched for options. And the search was continuing till nearly the last 2-3 weeks. We were looking for experimental things. Now, as a nurse, Maura understood the situation better than many of us would. And she tried to focus her energy on positive things and search for healing. And I'll always cherish the time I was able to spend with her, whether it was talking about family or just sitting in silence, holding each other's hands. After Maura died, I was listening to some grief things. I've listened to Anderson Cooper, and the book Man's Search for Meaning came up. So of course I had to go buy it that day. And a lot of sections spoke to me, but there was one section that resonated, related to the love Maura felt for her kids and love we all feel towards her. And the sentence was, "Love is the ultimate and highest goal to which man can aspire." Now I'm paraphrasing a bit on the next part.
But when someone is suffering, as Moira did for the last few years, they can endure that suffering, yet still find meaning in life. In the images, by focusing on the thoughts and images they carry of those they love. And I think that Moira totally had that through the last 2 years. I know Moira's wish for us is to remember her love and our love for her, and to hold a place in our hearts for memories of Moira and the dreams she wished for the happiness of her kids.
I know I've been kind of waffling for weeks on whether or not I wanted to stand up and speak today, but I feel compelled to share my unfortunately unique experience. For those of you who may not know, I am Sam's girlfriend, Emily. And as somebody who is currently in my mid-20s, I have this frame of life where I'm very much thinking about the firsts. The first jobs, the first degrees, the first stages of a relationship. Unfortunately, the first time I met Moira ended up being the last. I had the unfortunate opportunity to meet her on what ended up being her last day. The first hug ended up being the last. I ended up witness to what ended up being her last moments. And I need to share the beautifully tragic image of her in her home on Deal Island that she loved so dearly, with Sam on one side and Alex on the other. And that is the picture in which she took her last breath. And I am sorry to transplant that solemn image in your minds. But I think if you're thinking about how you might spend your last moments, there's no good way. Nobody wants to think about that. But if you have to choose, I think that surrounded by love is as good as it's gonna get. And that's certainly what she got. And I am so incredibly grateful to now be experiencing part of this beautiful legacy, this network of people who loved her and who love each other and who are now capable of sharing so much love. So thank you all for being part of that network, and thank you for letting me experience it.
I'm Christine. I worked with Moira in the operating room for years, and she was so technically, I don't know how many people here, but I love to really, as you were stating, she was so good. She was I worked a lot with fantasy people, and technically, she was the best. And I even had her, requested her to do my ex-husband's hated person that they had when he had surgery. And I knew it would just being in her situation with her, and in situations with her that could be so, they could go one way or another, and you always knew. If she was at the head, it was going to be okay. And I could tell you so many examples that he got some skirts off. And in the middle of it, she still had that wicked, quick humor. And talked about being able to light in a room when, I mean, things are going to crash. And she just had this wicked humor. And it was just, and I think you know, just cried. Just, she could cut through such tension, but keep it where it needed to be. It was humbling and impressive. She made better nurse. She was so good.
And we would, the stories, and we would go out a lot. So I almost wanted to bring a case of Guinness. So that's when we took off in the tag and I had one, just a memory of her. And we had some good times, and she even bring her kids. We would freak out, and she's, oh God, humor. And she had Tits Dragon, if anybody remembers Stone Dragon, on her front. Which, my daughter was so little, and she was obsessed with dinosaurs and dragons, reptiles, European and stuff. And she would want to feed it. And she had lettuce, and she was a vegetarian and she knew me as friend. And Mark Solis was like, yeah, I wonder what happened with it. It was happy. So, but just really to come here, it was just so many mixed emotions. She was special. She was special. The world was a better place because she was. I'm Erica. Well, you're my favorite. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
That's surprised.
I have so many fond memories of her, but I grew up like idolizing her. And I think I told my mom one time that I hoped that I was adopted and she was my real mom. But she was so much fun and she was so kind. I feel like her legacy is kindness. She taught me to be a better person, to be more kind and compassionate and understanding. And on the way here, I was saying to the people in the car with me that it feels so weird that she's not here because she would have planned this. She would have planned this for somebody else. She was always the one that got the family together and friends together. And I'm so happy to have everybody here to celebrate her and to share all the love and joy and kindness that she brought to everybody. And the world is a better place for her being in.
Yeah, Eric, I forgot to tell you, you did it. Sorry, we're saving it for the right moment. I said, you won't be disappointed.
Well, Moira was a little too young. So.
Yeah, let's throw that one in our face show.
Alex, I'm extremely proud of you. You've shown so much courage and bravery and tenderness. And it's wonderful to see you surrounded by people who care about you and your family. One of the last things your mom said to me was to take care of you, so I'll do that. The best I can.
Oh.
I had the privilege of knowing Moira, especially more before we moved to Puerto Rico. I also had the chance to visit them out there, but when I became friends with Alex and then Sam, I quickly knew that I was being brought into a very special community of a family that Moira was really at the center of, where there was always extended family who I had the privilege of meeting just by virtue of being in Moira's home. And it was clear that she was a focus of energy and tenderness that people were drawn to. And certainly I was too. Most of my experience with Moira is through her sons, who I've had the privilege of knowing, and who quickly changed my life when I met them, because I had never met such smart and capable guys. And their home was so welcoming. It was mentioned earlier that there was never a feeling like you were in a position. There was an immediate and absorbing sense of hospitality that came from that family. I remember Moira being a real light to my parents. When my parents were getting divorced, she and Jeff were a real model to my mom of friendship and maturity, and they gave my mom advice freely as really as soon as becoming friends. And I shouldn't be here eulogizing Moira. You all know Moira so much better than I did. I had the privilege of being under her care here and there, and I really appreciate the people that she's brought into this world, and it's beautiful to see you all gathered today.
There's a message from our stepbrother, Charles. I'm going to read off awkwardly while holding a laptop. Charles says, Moira was an incredible mother to Sam, Alex, Parker, and also to my brother, Joe, and I. A large part of my love for the outdoors comes from spending time in nature with her out on Deal Island. From swatting the bird-sized mosquitoes that would buzz past us night and day, breaking down on the boat in the middle of Middle Creek. She was always incredibly positive. She treated me as her own, and I will forever be grateful for that. She will be missed greatly.
I had the pleasure of meeting Moira. I guess it was only 8 years ago. Maybe more or less. And all the things that everyone has said, I absolutely agree with. But one thing that no one has said yet was just how cool she was. And they do say that, there's not love at first sight. But when I walked into this Strathaven Night School with my 2.5, and I met Moira and Lisa, it was love at first sight. I was like, these girls are so cool. I did nothing with my 2.5 the entire 8-week session, but I made 2 of the best friends that I could ever have with these 2. And then Laura came in, then I met Laura, and we had our breakfast meetings, and we went to the house shows, and we had so much fun together when our kids were young. And she just loves her projects and the bird story. I mean, I've told the bird story so many times about her traveling with the bird across country because it was just amazing. And it was like so much fun. And she just loved everyone, and she was just so great. She loved her sons, and she loved all of us. And it just was, you know, she was happy for you. You know, whatever you did, she was there for you. When she sold her house, she told the new owners that they were going to see a brown-headed woman in their yard collecting stuff, collecting plants and further her flower arrangements. And it was okay because I came with the house, you know, with my flower arrangements. And I think we went to the Sting concert together the other day. That was a long time, yeah, and it was like just a cool thing. I was making dinner on a Friday night and Mark called and said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm making dinner." She's like, "If you can get ready in 20 minutes, do you want to go to the Sting concert?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm gonna call Jim and put on my concert clothes." I hung up that phone, called Jim, and I, you know, and put on my clothes and off we went, and it was fun. But that was the tower. Yeah, yes. And that was it. She was just all the things that everyone had said. And she was also very, very cool. So it was really fun. Yeah.
There's so much to say about Moira and so much I could say. I mean, not to be dramatic, but I really do feel like, you know, I am the way I am today because of her. Yeah. I mean, she's such a big part of my life. I feel like it was definitely a part of my life just where, you know, things were tough and she really kind of stepped up to be that emotional support figure. And, you know, I was 18, I wanted to get out, I wanted to travel, and she encouraged me. You know, when I went to study abroad in London, she sent Sam out afterwards so we could backpack around. And, you know, we set up a fund at Christmas and walked around asking for money just to make sure we could get through the trip. And after college, when, again, I didn't know what to kind of do with my life, she was like, "Well, come down to Puerto Rico, like just find a job here and move here." And I did. And, you know, it was so fun to, after work, sit there and watch her cook and just hang out with her, hang out with Parker, go to the Pescaderia and have the best fish tacos you've ever had and just look at the water. And, you know, we could do nothing together and have fun. We could walk around Costco and have an absolute blast. And, you know, I met my husband in Puerto Rico. So, yeah, I mean, she just, I don't know, she gave me this emotional support that I needed during like just a really rough time in my life. And just, you know, forever after, I just really appreciated the bond that we have. So.
Yes, big cry. Long time friend of Melissa and Tori, and I know most of you over here as well. Tell me about Moira when I met her. She was a young mom, and I remember when I tell people that, because those questions at that age was, "What school are you going to? What are you going to do? You know, what's your plan?" I was like, "Well, the daughter," and I wanted to wait for people to say, to be like, "Oh, you're so young, what do you mean you have a daughter?" You know, and no judgment for that, because that is a normal response. But with Moira, I got, "Well, what's her name?" And that just, it did something for me, really. I just walked out of her house one day with candle behind her. And I remember taking my daughter to the island, how much fun we had, and she was my partner, and I just watched everything she did as a mother because I just wanted to copy everything she did. I just was totally obsessed with her. So many people have said just something about her. But anytime I was with her or even thought of her, just walk with my head a little higher because she never judged anybody with me. And I was 20 at the time. So it's really special. And I'm just remember. It's funny, I went to stand up at the same time we sit there. And she would always told us how special what we had was in our friendship. And I felt her authentic. I felt very good more in that moment. So, thank you.
I'm so grateful to see everybody here. It's I think it's a real testament to what you all meant to us. And I think I'd be remiss without saying that as much as she meant to each of you, you all meant just as much to her. She didn't want anybody to get together. She'd be really sad, but I think she'd be so happy we're here together and talk to each other. I was very lucky to spend quite a lot of time with her. Towards the end, we shared a lot of time eating, watching TV, sharing visits from anybody who joined us in the island, with Mary and Brian. And there's so many things that I could share from that time. Moments where I just couldn't believe the courage, the compassion, how funny she was, even in those moments. And I just couldn't believe, this frail, small, tiny woman was standing up each and every day, even though it hurt her so much that she was thinking about getting a lung transplant, something she really didn't want at all, but just to have more time with all of us. When I think about a Moira moment when she really made an impression on me, I think about a really hard time for our family. One of our cousins had passed away, and I was maybe 9 or 10. Melissa and Tori's brother, we were already grieving. I didn't know how to process that, but my mom just said, just hug whoever you can, and that's really all you can do. And later at the service, she just comforting everybody left and right, people she had never met, people whose pain she might not have really understood. But she did, and it was in that moment I think I really learned a lot. There are a lot of people here who put a lot of thought and effort into the service. I'm so grateful that they were able to plan and help to make it possible. It's very special.
We're familiar with Quaker meetings, and I stand and speak as a teacher to my students. It's much easier. But, you know, I sit here and you think about exactly what you want to say. I'm just going to catch my breath and I'm going to say it. I knew Moira mostly in my 20s, or early 20s, for lack of a better term. Like, it was a fly by the seat of my pants sort of time in my life, you know, like finding yourself. And she offered me what, you know, was like a dream job, which kind of like wound up being a dream job. I got the opportunity to spend time with Sam and Alex as their nanny. We spent plenty of time together riding bikes, building things, playing cards, watching shows, going to movies. You know, I got to experience Steel Island and Great Lodge. We had a great time. And so, you know, again, I'd be in my 20s, like, I was just like, wow, this is great. I get to spend time with these two, you know, two amazing kids. We have fun together. And, you know, I didn't stay in great touch over the past 10, 15 years. And when I heard that Moira had passed, it hit me with shock and sadness. But I spent a lot of time reflecting on all the ways that Moira impacted my life that I probably it's, you know, all the ways that she impacted my life that I probably overlooked in my 20s. And so I wanted to lift up that I believe Moira played an important role in who I am as a parent to my two kids. She played an important role into who I am as a partner. My wife and I met at the school in Rose Valley. You know, I think she played an important role in who I am as an educator. And, you know, when I came here today and I just reconnect with Alex and Sam and reconnect with so many other familiar faces, friends and family, I realized the impact she had on really offering me beyond the jobs of nanny, like inviting me and welcoming me into her family. And I looked that up. I really appreciate it. She was an amazing person who had such an impact on my life.
I'm Bob. I'm Moira's uncle by marriage. My wife, Angela, her uncle by blood. Anyway, the more powerful memory I have of Moira is when we first met. I was 39 years old and she was a teenager of 17. And she was very upset because she was having trouble with biology. And I was teaching school at the time. And so I helped her. Well, so I think. But maybe that was the very beginning of her becoming a nurse. I don't know. But the main thing I'm getting at is when I first met her, I felt immediate acceptance. I felt I was valued right off the bat. And from there on, for the next 44 years, it was always, you know, that same feeling. When we meet, it was never hi Bob, it was always Bob. And that's absolutely priceless for me. And I'll miss her forever.
Another message from Jess, my father and mom's ex. Jeff says, I'm Moira's ex. Star. A friend and I made you. I spent many of the best years of my life with Moira. She gave so much, and few benefit more from her generosity than I have. Her gifts outlived her. As I said, despite all of your shares. As I listen remotely, I laugh and cry with every share. Moira's biggest love was family, and for Moira's friends were her family. Did we get that right? Moira's biggest love was family, and for Moira's friends were her family. She would love that all of you are gathered here today in celebration of her life. Uniting all of us is one of her greatest gifts, a life's work and something we can all cherish for the rest of our lives. Thank you for all of your shares and for your presence. I love you all. Afternoon.